there's this very specific, almost universal moment that I think every parent recognizes, but we almost never actually talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It usually happens late at night or maybe in the very early hours of the morning.
When everything is finally quiet.
Exactly.
Mm.
The kids are asleep. The house is actually quiet. The dishwasher is, doing that rhythmic humming thing in the background. Technically, on paper, everything is fine.
You should be relaxing.
I should be. The day is done. I should be watching a show or reading a book.
But you're not. You're sitting there maybe staring at a wall or your phone, and you're not relaxing.
I'm not. I'm sitting there, and I feel this weight, like a tension in my shoulders or, I don't know, a low-level hum in the back of my head.
Yeah.
It isn't exactly stress because, honestly, nothing is currently on fire. And it isn't exactly love, although I guess it's tangled up in that somehow. It's just this heaviness.
And for years, you probably just called it exhaustion.
For years, I just thought, okay, I'm just a tired parent. This is what burnout feels like.
And that's what we all do. It's the most common diagnosis we give ourselves. We say we're just burned out from the sheer volume of tasks. The laundry, the driving, the constant questions, the logistics. We think the weight is just the sum of the chores.
Right. But today, we are doing a deep dive into an essay that suggests we are completely wrong about that feeling. We're looking at a piece called The Future Inside the Room by the writer and philosopher Pedro Malha. And I have to say, this piece of writing, it shook me a little bit.
I can see why.
Because it argues that the weight isn't about what you did today. It's about how your brain has fundamentally changed the way it processes time.
It's such a profound piece of work. Malha argues that what you're feeling, that late-night hum, that inability to fully power down even when the house is silent, it isn't a symptom of stress. It's not a malfunction.
It's what?
It is a structural shift.
It's a big claim, a structural shift. So our mission today is to untack Malha's concept. We're going to give language to this felt presence so that when you, the listener, feel that weight, you don't judge yourself for it.
You understand what it is.
Exactly. Because honestly, thinking I was just bad at relaxing was starting to really get to me.
Well, the goal today isn't to make the weight go away. And, spoiler alert, Malha says you can't really do that, but to understand why it's there.
Okay.
And oddly enough, that understanding can change the whole experience, from anxiety, really, to clarity.
So let's start with the title itself, The Future Inside the Room. Now, usually when I hear the future, my brain goes to logistics. I'm thinking about my retirement fund or booking a summer vacation, maybe worrying about climate change. It's a timeline. It's a plan. It's something out there.
That is the standard definition, right?
Yeah.
We're trained to think of the future as a destination. It's a place we are traveling toward.
Yeah.
But Malha starts this essay by flipping that concept on its head, specifically for parents. He writes that once you have a child, the future stops being a destination.
And it becomes a felt presence.
A felt presence. That sounds almost ghostly. Like a haunting. It is a little haunting, yeah, but not in a scary horror movie kind of way. Think about it. Malha says the future arrives the moment a child enters your life. It enters the room, and it just stays.
It doesn't announce itself.
No, it just takes up space. He calls it a weight of attention that never fully lifts.
Okay, help me visualize this.
Yeah.
Because the future is abstract. I can't touch next Tuesday. But Malha seems to be saying this presence is concrete.
It is. He's very specific about this. He says this isn't an idea. It has breath. It has a body.
Right.
For a parent, the future isn't a concept on a calendar.
Yeah.
The future is lying in a crib next to you. It's sitting at the breakfast table spilling milk.
The child is the future, incarnate.
Precisely. So because the child represents everything that is to come, looking at them is like looking at time itself.
I see.
Malha writes, it is there in the air when a child coughs in the night. It's in the pause before a school gate opens in the morning. It's woven into the sensory details of the day.
Oh, that example of the cough in the night, that hit me hard. Because we have all been there. It's the middle of the night, pitch black. You hear that one single cough from down the hall.
And instantly.
Instantly. I mean, in a microsecond, you are not in the present moment anymore.
Where do you go?
I'm projected forward. My brain just instantly runs a simulation. Is this the flu? If it's the flu, who stays home tomorrow? If we stay home, do I miss that big meeting? Is this going to turn into bronchitis like last time?
Is this a trip to the ER?
Exactly. It's like a domino effect that happens before I've even opened my eyes.
That is the future inside the room. That projection, it's folded into ordinary time.
So it's not waiting for you next year. It's sitting in the corner of the bedroom while you're just trying to sleep.
It presses against the present moment.
And one thing Malha mentions that I think explains the frustration of it. This guest is unchosen. You don't get to invite it over only when you have the energy for it.
That's a crucial insight. This presence arrives regardless of your readiness. You can't tell it, hey, I had a really long week at work, I'm low energy tonight, can you just wait outside for a bit?
It doesn't care about your bank account balance or your mental health status.
It doesn't. It is unrelenting. And Malha argues that this unchosen, constant pressure is the real source of parental exhaustion.
Not the tasks.
We tend to blame the tasks. We think, oh, if I just get the laundry done, I'll feel better, or once they are potty trained, I'll relax.
But you don't. That's the thing. You finish the laundry, the house is clean, the kids are potty trained, and you still feel the weight.
Because the weight isn't the laundry. The weight comes from what Malha calls living with tomorrow inside today.
Living with tomorrow inside today. I want to double click on that phrase. What is the physical toll of that? Because it sounds exhausting just saying it.
It is physically exhausting.
Why does that make my shoulders tight?
Because you are doing two things at once. You're living in the present, physically located in the room, but mentally, you are holding the knowledge that this person, this vulnerable little person, is going to move forward in time.
And time is dangerous.
Time is risk. They are going to encounter strain. They will face danger. They will experience loss. And deep down, you know you cannot stop all of it. Malha writes that the future inside the room is the awareness that care extends beyond what can be completed.
That's the difference between parenting and a job, right?
Right.
At my job, I can file a report. I can hit send. The project is done. I can walk away.
Exactly. In parenting, the project is never done because the project is a life.
You can finish the dishes.
But you cannot finish the task of securing their future. So even when you put them to bed, the future is still awake.
This explains the scanning Malha talks about. He describes this state of, like, hypervigilance that parents fall into.
Yeah. Yes. He argues that for a parent, the body never fully rests. Even when you're sitting on the couch watching a movie, a part of your brain is running a background process. It's like a radar sweep.
And he lists these small gestures we do without thinking.
Checking a locked door twice. Listening a little longer than necessary after you turn out the light.
Or the mental notes. I have this dossier in my head. Who is allergic to what? Which kid is fighting with their best friend? Who is scared of dogs? It's like I'm constantly updating a database.
And that database takes up RAM in your brain.
So much RAM.
And that database is the future. You're holding that information to ensure continuity for the child. But here is the most important distinction Malha makes in the entire essay, and I want to make sure we get this right.
Okay.
He argues that this state, this scanning, this vigilance is not clinical anxiety.
I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because as I'm reading this, I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm just an anxious person. You know, maybe I need therapy. Maybe I need to just chill out.
That's what people tell you. You worry too much. And look, clinical anxiety is real. If you are having panic attacks or if worry is stopping you from functioning, that's a different conversation.
Of course.
But Malha is saying that this specific weight, this structural vigilance, is not a pathology. It's not a disorder.
It's what then?
It is a structural condition of holding another life in time.
So I'm not crazy.
You are not crazy. You are a parent. You feel this way, not because your brain is broken, but because the situation demands it. The job requires you to hold the shape of the future because the child cannot do it yet.
Wow. That is incredibly validating. It shifts the narrative from, I am bad at relaxing, to, I'm doing the work of protection.
Precisely. And this leads us to the philosophical heart of the essay. Malha talks about how parenting actually bends time. He calls it nonlinear time.
This is where the essay gets a little trippy, but stick with us. Because it actually makes perfect sense when you apply it to daily life.
It really does.
How does a parent experience time differently than a non-parent?
Malha argues that when care is involved, moments do not stand alone. In a normal life, say, before you had kids, a scraped knee is just a scraped knee.
Right.
You trip, you bleed, you put a bandage on it, it heals. The event is isolated, it starts and it ends.
But for a parent?
For a parent, Malha argues, a scraped knee is never just a scraped knee. It's a signal.
A signal of what?
It's a reminder that the body is vulnerable. It's a data point that says pain is possible and it is inevitable. So the event isn't just happening now. It is pointing to all the future injuries that will happen.
Oh, yeah. I feel this with social stuff, too.
Yeah.
If my kid comes home and says someone was mean to them on the playground, I'm not just dealing with today's feelings.
No, you're not.
I'm suddenly worrying about middle school. I'm worrying about whether they'll be bullied when they're 15. I'm worrying about their adult relationships.
One mean comment today feels like a prophecy of a lifetime of rejection.
Exactly.
You're layering time. Mala calls this protective intelligence.
Protective intelligence. That sounds like a military term.
It kind of is. It's a defense mechanism. It exists because the child cannot carry the future yet. A 3-year-old doesn't know about long-term consequences. They live purely in the now.
Right. If they want to jump off the couch, they aren't thinking about a broken arm or the hospital bill.
They are thinking about the sensation of flying.
So we have to do the thinking for them. We have to be the ones who see the broken arm before the jump happens.
We hold the future so they can be free of it. We do the worrying so they can just be children.
But that protective intelligence comes at a high cost for the parent.
It does.
Because if we don't have a name for it, if we don't realize that's what we're doing, it just feels like fear.
Or worse.
It feels like we're robbing ourselves of the present.
It feels like fear, and yes, it feels like failure. This is the danger of silence. Mala writes that when this presence remains unnamed, parents often interpret it as a personal inability to live in the moment.
Oh, the guilt. The live-in-the-moment industry is huge, right?
Yeah.
How many times have we been told, just enjoy it, they grow up so fast, be present. And then you feel guilty because you're sitting there playing blocks, but your brain is worrying about if they're eating enough vegetables.
Or if they're going to get into a good school.
Yeah.
And Malha says that guilt is entirely misplaced. You aren't distracted because you're bored. You are distracted because the future is demanding space it already occupies.
It's not poor parenting.
It's forward responsibility without language.
He describes the nature of this fear, too. It's not a sharp fear like a tiger chasing you. It's different.
No, it's a slow, persistent hum. It's a fear of illness, of social pain, of absence. And he makes a poignant point. This fear is usually quiet because it feels inappropriate to voice it when things are going well.
That's so true. Imagine you're at a birthday party, kids are laughing, eating cake.
Hitting a piñata.
Hitting a piñata. You can't turn to the parent next to you and say, I'm terrified that one day my child will have a broken heart that I can't fix.
You would definitely be the buzzkill of the party.
Here, have a goodie bag and also have some existential dread.
Exactly. But that fear is there, underneath the party hats. And Malha argues that this fear is actually the flip side of love.
How so?
He says this is love in its most enduring form. It's not just affection or warmth, it is commitment across unknown time.
That's a really powerful reframe. The worry isn't a glitch. It's the commitment. It's the proof of the bond.
It is. It's steady. It doesn't peak and pass. It adapts. And speaking of adapting, the essay moves on to discuss how this feeling changes as the kids get older.
Yeah.
Because I think every parent has this secret hope. Okay, this is hard now, but once they can tie their shoes, or once they can drive, or once they go to college...
This feeling will go away. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but...
It does not go away. Malha says the room changes. You know, bedrooms become study spaces, toys get replaced by devices, but the future inside the room just shifts shape.
It becomes more abstract.
Exactly. It goes from, are they going to fall down the stairs,
to, are they going to be happy? Are they going to find a partner who treats them well? Are they going to find purpose?
From physical safety to emotional concern. But here is the part of the essay that really stopped me in my tracks. Mala talks about the empty house paradox.
This was the most counterintuitive part for me. You'd think an empty house would be peaceful.
Logic suggests that when the kids are at school or away at camp or eventually when they move out, the parent would finally relax. The scanner could turn off.
But that's not what happens.
No. Mala observes that often a quiet house feels heavier than a noisy one.
Why is that? I mean, I love a quiet house for about 10 minutes, but then
yeah.
It gets weird.
It gets weird because the absence of tasks, the absence of the chaotic now, allows the future to rush in.
Oh.
When you aren't busy wiping a face or finding a shoe, your thoughts have nowhere to go but to the horizon. You start thinking about who the child might become. The future becomes audible because the present is silent.
It's like the noise of the kids drowns out the noise of the worry. When the noise stops, the worry is the only thing left in the room.
Perfectly put. And Mala goes even further to say that even when children move away, leave the nest entirely, the future has been absorbed, it's internalized.
Wow.
He says, time never returns to a purely present state. Once you have lived with the future inside the room, you are permanently changed. You never go back to being the person who just lives for today.
That is simultaneously beautiful and terrifying. It's like a permanent modification of your soul. So we've established that this is heavy, it's permanent, and it's structural. The big question is what do we do with it?
Is there a fix?
Yeah, is there a fix?
Well, the pragmatist in you wants a solution. Give me 3 steps to fix this. But Mal is a philosopher, so he offers something different.
Okay.
He says there is no solution because it isn't a problem, it's a condition.
So we don't fix it, we just live with it.
Yeah.
That feels a little unsatisfying.
It might feel that way at first, but think about the alternative. Fighting it is what causes the stress. Mala argues that naming the future inside the room restores accuracy.
It stops us from mislabeling it.
Yes, it stops us from interpreting our care as anxiety or inadequacy.
So instead of thinking, I'm a nervous wreck, I could think, I am carrying the future because my child can't yet.
Exactly. And that recognition brings relief. Not because the weight gets lighter, the weight is still there, but because the confusion is gone. You stop fighting yourself. You stop trying to solve your own protective instincts.
He uses the word settling.
Yes. Recognition allows for a settling. The future doesn't leave, but it can now sit alongside the present rather than overwhelming it.
I like that image. Coexistence. The future is sitting in the chair in the corner. I see it, I acknowledge it, I know why it's there, but I can still sit on the floor and play Legos and enjoy this moment.
Precisely. It allows small moments to stand on their own without being consumed by what comes next. You can be present and aware of the future simultaneously.
It doesn't have to be one or the other.
No. Malha says presence doesn't require the future to disappear. It requires the future to be held without panic.
Held without panic. I think that's the mantra right there. That's the goal.
It really is. And he wraps up the essay by pointing out that this explains why parenting rarely feels complete.
Right.
You know, in other jobs or even in hobbies, you finish things. You run the marathon, you cross the finish line, you build the bookshelf, you put books on it. In parenting, there is no final task.
Even the happy moments. He mentions that even joy carries future weight. Like your kid wins an award or learns to ride a bike. You're happy, obviously.
But almost instantly, what happened?
You start thinking about the next step. What does this mean for next year? Does this put pressure on them? Will they keep liking this?
Yeah.
Milestones open new unknowns.
It's not pessimism, though. Sounds like pessimism, but it isn't.
No, it's not pessimism. Malha calls it realism shaped by attachment. Because you are attached to this person, you are invested in their timeline. You are their guardian of time. It really creates a picture of parenting that is so much deeper than just raising kids. It's about being the anchor for another human being's existence in time.
It reveals that for a parent, time is not linear. It folds. The future presses into the present, and the present stretches forward. And frankly, it can be isolating because it's invisible to anyone outside the room.
Right. If you don't have kids or if you aren't in that caregiver role, you might look at a parent staring into space during the early hours of the day and think they're just bored.
Or maybe they're checking out.
Yeah, you don't see the massive mental architecture they're holding up.
It's a field of awareness that remains active 24/7. And that's why naming it is so important. It validates the experience. It explains why parenting is simultaneously expansive and heavy.
Why love feels durable but tiring.
And why even a quiet day can feel incredibly full.
Because the room is never actually empty.
Exactly. The future has already arrived, and it is quietly sitting with you.
This has been such a validating discussion for me personally. I feel like I can go home tonight, sit on that couch when the house is quiet, feel that familiar weight in my shoulders, and instead of judging myself, I can just say, hello, future. I know you're there. We're okay.
That is protective intelligence at work. That is the shift Maha wants us to make.
So to recap for our listeners before we sign off, parenting isn't just a series of tasks you complete. It is a long-form responsibility that permanently reshapes how you experience time.
It creates a world where the present is never truly alone.
Because you are constantly holding tomorrow inside today.
And that weight you feel, it's not anxiety, it's not a mistake, it is the structural condition of care. It's the evidence that you are doing the job.
I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We've talked about how this feeling can be heavy. But think about this. If you feel that weight of attention, if you feel that hum of vigilance, even when everything is quiet, it isn't a sign that something is wrong.
It's evidence.
It is evidence that time has thickened around care.
That is such a beautiful phrase. Time has thickened around care.
The future isn't haunting you. It's sitting with you because you opened the door for it. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.